The stars twinkled silently in the vast darkness of space. At Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Station, it was just another quiet night shift until the sensors picked up something unusual. Tom, the night shift operator, blinked twice at his screen, making sure he wasn't seeing things. "Sir, you need to see this," Tom called out to his supervisor, pointing at the rapidly changing numbers on his display. "We're picking up thousands of objects entering the solar system." The supervisor rushed over, his coffee forgotten on his desk. The readings were unlike anything they had seen before. A massive fleet of ships, drifting silently through space. Their trajectory was erratic, suggesting they weren't under powered flight. Within hours, every major space agency on Earth was on high alert. The mysterious fleet had been confirmed by multiple tracking stations across the globe. Initial estimates suggested over 3,000 vessels of varying sizes, from small craft, no bigger than a bus, to enormous ships that rivaled small cities. "They're not accelerating or decelerating," reported Anna from Mission Control. "Whatever these ships are, they're completely powerless. They're just drifting." As the fleet drew closer, Earth's most powerful telescopes focused on the mysterious visitors. The ships were clearly artificial, their designs unlike anything humans had ever created. Their hulls showed signs of long-term space travel, and many appeared to be damaged. Then came the signal. A weak transmission, barely detectable above the background radiation of space, reached Earth's receivers. The message repeated in regular intervals, using basic mathematical sequences that suggested intelligence. Earth's best computers worked to decode it. "It's a distress signal," announced Dr. Smith, the lead communications expert. "They're asking for help." The first clear images of the ships revealed their true state. Once magnificent vessels were now dark and lifeless, their hull markings suggesting they belonged to a highly advanced civilization. But something had gone terribly wrong with their propulsion systems. As Earth's governments debated their response, more data poured in. The fleet's trajectory would take them through the solar system, but without power, they would continue drifting endlessly into deep space. If they weren't helped, thousands of lives would be lost. The first breakthrough in communication came 3 days later. Earth scientists had managed to establish a basic form of communication using mathematical principles. The story that emerged was both fascinating and heartbreaking. The fleet carried refugees from a dying star system. They had planned to travel to a colony world using their advanced quantum drive systems, but something had gone catastrophically wrong during their journey. Every ship in the fleet had lost power simultaneously, leaving them stranded in the void between stars. "We've been drifting for so long," translated the alien message. "Our children have never known a home except these ships. Please, if you can help us, we beg you." The message shocked everyone who read it. These weren't invaders or explorers. They were families, civilians, desperate survivors seeking sanctuary. Earth's Space Rescue Service, a relatively new organization formed to handle emergencies in Earth's growing space infrastructure, immediately began planning a response. Despite having never attempted anything close to this scale, they refused to let thousands die when they might be able to help. "We can't just let them drift by," insisted Captain James during the emergency meeting. "Our technology might be simpler than theirs, but it works. We have to try." The aliens' advanced technology, ironically, had become their greatest weakness. Their quantum drives, while capable of incredible feats of propulsion, had proven unreliable. In contrast, humanity's simpler fusion drives and chemical rockets, while less sophisticated, had proven themselves reliable over decades of use. As the first response ships prepared to launch, humanity faced its greatest challenge yet. They had to find a way to rescue thousands of aliens using technology that, by the refugees' standards, was practically ancient. But perhaps that was exactly what was needed. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. As the sun rose over Earth's largest spaceport, rescue ships began lifting off one after another. Humanity was about to attempt the largest rescue mission in its history, proving that sometimes being less advanced didn't mean being less capable. The first contact between humanity and an alien civilization wasn't going to be about war, trade, or cultural exchange. Instead, it would be about one species reaching out to help another in their hour of need. In the massive United Nations emergency session, representatives from every nation gathered to face humanity's biggest decision. The huge screens displayed real-time images of the alien fleet, now close enough to see clear details of their damaged ships. "We're talking about diverting massive resources," the Russian delegate argued, standing at the podium. "Our own space programs are still developing. Can we really afford this?" The chamber erupted in heated discussions. Some nations worried about the security risks of helping an unknown alien civilization. Others argued about the enormous cost. A few questioned whether Earth had any obligation to help at all. Captain James waited patiently for his turn to speak. As head of Earth's Space Rescue Service, he had spent the last 3 days analyzing every aspect of the situation. When he finally stepped up to the podium, the room fell silent. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady, "I've spent my entire career rescuing people in space. One thing I've learned is that space doesn't care about nationality, species, or politics. Out there, we're all just living beings trying to survive." He pressed a button, and the screen showed thermal images of the alien ships. "These vessels are failing. Their life support systems are running on backup power. In those ships are families, parents, children, elderly, all of them hoping someone will help them." The room stayed quiet as he continued. "Yes, this will be expensive. Yes, it's risky. But today, we have a chance to show who we really are as a species. Are we the kind who turns our backs on those in need, or are we the kind who reaches out to help?" As discussions continued, the first direct communication arrived from the alien fleet. Their spokesperson, who humans called Blue due to their distinctive coloring, appeared on the main screen. The universal translator, while not perfect, conveyed their message clearly enough. "We understand your hesitation," Blue said, their large eyes showing what seemed like worry. "Our people have been traveling for 27 of your Earth years. We lost our home to a dying sun. Many of us were born on these ships, never knowing solid ground beneath their feet." The alien's words struck a chord with many in the chamber. The Chinese delegate stood up next. "Perhaps we should consider this an investment in our future. If we help them, we gain allies. We gain knowledge. We gain friends among the stars." The debate raged on for hours. Cost estimates were presented, risks were analyzed, and potential benefits were discussed. The UK delegate raised concerns about Earth's limited space rescue capabilities. The Indian representative pointed out the potential technological advances that could come from such cooperation. Meanwhile, in space, the situation grew more urgent. The alien fleet's trajectory was taking them deeper into the solar system. If action wasn't taken soon, the rescue would become much more difficult, if not impossible. Captain James received an urgent message from his technical team. "Sir, we've completed our initial scans. Their life support systems are failing faster than they realize. We estimate they have less than 2 months before critical systems begin to fail completely." He immediately shared this information with the assembly. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. This wasn't just about politics anymore. It was about preventing what could become the largest mass casualty event in known history. The Japanese delegate stood up. "My nation pledges its full support and resources to this rescue mission." Other nations quickly followed suit. Even those who couldn't contribute significantly to the space effort offered other forms of support: medical facilities, temporary housing, technical expertise. The final vote was overwhelmingly in favor of the rescue mission. Earth would attempt something never before tried in human history, saving an entire alien civilization. As the assembly concluded, Captain James received another transmission from Blue. "We've told our children about your people's decision," the alien said, their voice trembling with what seemed like emotion. For the first time in years, They're drawing pictures of futures that include hope. The captain smiled as he looked at the images being sent from the alien ships. Drawings made by alien children, showing human and alien ships working together among the stars. The decision had been made. Now came the hard part, figuring out exactly how to rescue 3,000 damaged alien ships with technology that, compared to theirs, was practically ancient. But humanity had always been good at figuring things out, especially when lives were on the line. The greatest rescue mission in human history was about to begin. The massive engineering bay at Space Command buzzed with activity. Engineers from every spacefaring nation huddled around tables covered with technical drawings and computer simulations. The challenge before them seemed impossible at first glance. Dr. Miller, Earth's leading expert in spacecraft propulsion, stared at the holographic display of the alien quantum drive. "It's both brilliant and terrifying," she muttered, tracing the complex systems with her finger. "Their technology is so advanced it's practically magic to us. But that's exactly why it failed." The alien ships used quantum entanglement for propulsion, a technology humanity had only theorized about. When the system failed, it failed completely, leaving no way to restart it with their current technology. Worse, the failure had somehow spread through all their ships simultaneously. "We can't fix what we don't understand," explained one of the alien engineers through the translator. Their name, roughly translated, meant bright. "Our backup systems were designed around the same technology. When the main drives failed, everything connected to them failed too." Dr. Miller nodded, then smiled suddenly. "But what if we don't need to fix them? What if we just need to move them?" She walked to the main display and pulled up designs for Earth's latest heavy-lift space tugs. "Our technology is simpler, yes, but it works. It's reliable. We've been using fusion drives and ion engines for decades. They're not fancy, but they get the job done." The team began calculating. Earth's largest space tugs could generate enough thrust to move small to medium-sized alien ships. For the larger vessels, they would need to work together, like tugboats guiding an ocean liner. "The real problem is power," one engineer pointed out. "Their life support systems are running on emergency power. Even if we can move them, they'll need constant power supply during transit." This led to another breakthrough. The team designed a simple but effective power transfer system using Earth's standard fusion technology. It wasn't as efficient as the aliens' quantum systems, but it would keep their life support running. Time was their enemy. Every hour spent planning was an hour less for the actual rescue. The alien ships were drifting deeper into the solar system, making the rescue increasingly difficult. Their life support systems were failing faster than initially estimated. "We need to test this now," Dr. Miller announced. "We can't wait for perfect solutions." The first test involved a small Earth tug attempting to power and move one of the smaller alien vessels. Everyone watched nervously as the tug approached the dead ship. The power transfer system engaged with a soft hum. For a moment, nothing happened. Then lights began flickering on the alien ship. The tug's fusion reactor was successfully powering their life support systems. When the tug engaged its engines, the alien ship moved with it, slow but steady. "It works," cheered the control room. But they all knew this was just the beginning. The next challenge was scaling up. They needed hundreds of tugs, thousands of power transfer units, and enough fuel to move an entire civilization. Earth's manufacturing capabilities were pushed to their limits as factories worldwide began producing the needed equipment. The alien engineers watched in amazement as humans solved problems through what they considered primitive means. "Your species has an unusual way of thinking," Bright commented to Dr. Miller. "Where we seek perfect solutions, you find ways to make imperfect solutions work perfectly." But the deadline loomed. The rescue fleet needed to launch within 3 weeks, or the alien ships would drift too far for effective rescue. Engineers worked around the clock, modifying existing vessels and building new ones. Through it all, Dr. Miller kept everyone focused on the essential truth. "We don't need to be perfect. We just need to work. These people need our help, and we're going to give it to them, one ship at a time if we have to. As the last test simulations ran successfully, she looked at the massive construction effort visible through the bay windows. Hundreds of tugs were being fitted with power transfer units, their fusion drives ready to pull off the impossible. Sometimes, she thought, the best solution isn't the most advanced one. Sometimes, it's just the one that works. The airlock hissed as the first human rescue team stepped aboard the alien vessel. Led by Commander Mark, the team moved carefully through the dimly lit corridors. Their headlamps cast long shadows on the strange geometric patterns that decorated the walls. Remember, Mark's voice crackled over the team's comm system. We're guests here. These people have been trapped in these ships for decades. Be respectful, but stay focused on the mission. The alien ship's emergency lighting cast an eerie blue glow throughout the corridors. The rescue team's boots made hollow sounds on the metal floors as they moved deeper into the vessel. Their handheld devices showed the way to the ship's main control room. They found the alien crew waiting for them. Tall, elegant beings stood watching the humans with what seemed like a mixture of hope and uncertainty. One of them stepped forward, holding up a universal translator device the humans had sent ahead. "Welcome," the device translated. "I am the ship's leader, Star. We never thought we would see other living beings again." The humans and aliens studied each other carefully. Despite all the preparation and remote communications, this was the first time they had met face to face. The moment was both tense and extraordinary. Mark removed his helmet, following the protocols established by the science team after confirming the atmosphere was safe. "We're here to help," he said simply, watching the translator convey his words. The work began immediately. Human engineers started setting up power transfer units while studying the ship's systems. The aliens watched in fascination as the humans used what they considered outdated tools and technology to solve complex problems. "Your methods are unexpected," Star commented, watching a human engineer repair a damaged panel with what looked like simple welding tools. "We would have used quantum restructuring for such repairs." The engineer, Tom, grinned as he finished the weld. "Sometimes the old ways work best. Can't quantum restructure if you don't have power, but a good weld works just fine without electricity." Similar scenes played out across hundreds of alien vessels as human rescue teams boarded them one by one. Each ship presented unique challenges, but the humans' adaptability proved invaluable. On one ship, a team discovered that the alien children had never seen paper before. During a break, one rescuer showed them how to make paper airplanes. Soon, the ship's corridors were filled with the sound of laughing alien children as they watched their paper creations soar in the low gravity. Not everything went smoothly. On several ships, cultural misunderstandings led to tense moments. Some aliens struggled to accept help from beings they had initially considered technologically primitive. Others were overwhelmed by the humans' direct approach to problems. "You must understand," an alien elder explained to a frustrated human engineer. "In our culture, we spend much time contemplating the perfect solution before acting." "With all respect," the engineer replied, "right now we don't need perfect. We need working." Gradually, mutual respect grew between the species. The aliens came to appreciate human ingenuity and practical problem-solving, while the humans learned from the aliens' careful, methodical approach to challenges. The most touching moments came when power was restored to each ship's main systems. Lights would flicker on, air circulation would resume its normal flow, and hope would return to the eyes of the alien crew. "My children were born on this ship," one alien parent told a human technician, their translator struggling to convey the emotion in their voice. "They have never known anything but darkness and emergency lighting. Today, they saw our home as it was meant to be seen. How can we ever repay such a gift?" As the days passed, the initial awkwardness between species faded. Human rescue teams and alien crews began working together seamlessly, each learning from the other's strengths. Mark watched this transformation with pride. In his final daily report, he wrote, We came here to rescue them, but something more is happening. We're not just saving lives. We're building bridges between our civilizations, one ship at a time. The rescue operation was far from over, but the hardest part, learning to trust and work together, had been accomplished. Now they just had to hope they could complete the mission before time ran out. The warning came without notice. Earth's solar monitoring stations detected massive solar activity building up on the sun's surface. A solar flare, far larger than anything seen in decades, was about to erupt. All rescue teams, priority alert. The command center's voice boomed through every communication channel. Class X solar flare detected. Impact in approximately 4 hours. All operations must cease immediately. Commander Mark looked at his team, then at the alien family they were helping. They had just restored power to this section of the ship, and the alien children were watching in wonder as their home came back to life. "We can't leave them like this," he said into his comm. "This ship's shields aren't operational yet. They'll be defenseless against the radiation." The massive rescue operation, spread across thousands of kilometers of space, faced its greatest challenge. The human rescue ships had shields designed to withstand solar flares, but many of the alien vessels were still running on minimal power, their own shield systems offline or barely functional. In the command center, Captain James stared at the tactical display, showing hundreds of rescue ships and thousands of alien vessels scattered across space. "How many ships can we protect?" he demanded. "Maybe 30%, sir," came the response. "Our ship's shields can extend only so far. The rest." The technician didn't need to finish the sentence. That's when Dr. Miller burst into the command center. "Captain, I have an idea. It's risky, but it might work." The plan was both brilliant and desperate. The human rescue ships would position themselves between the sun and the alien fleet, using their shields as a massive protective screen. It would mean exposing the human vessels to dangerous levels of radiation, but their shields were designed to handle it. Barely. "All rescue ships, new orders," Captain James announced. "Form a defensive line. Priority is protecting the civilian fleet." Commander Mark heard the orders and immediately understood what it meant. "Everyone back to our ship," he ordered his team. "We've got a new mission." The aliens watched in confusion as the humans rushed to leave. Star, the ship's leader, grabbed Mark's arm. "What's happening?" the translator asked. "There's a massive solar flare coming," Mark explained quickly. "We're going to try to protect you. Just trust us." Across the vast expanse of space, hundreds of human rescue ships began moving into position. Like ancient warriors forming a shield wall, they lined up between the alien fleet and the approaching solar storm. "Shield power at maximum," reported the engineering teams, diverting all non-essential power to shields. The aliens watched in awe as their rescuers took up defensive positions. They had never seen such a strategy. Simple, primitive even, but potentially effective. "First wave approaching," came the warning. "All ships, brace for impact." The solar flare hit like a hammer of light. Radiation levels spiked as the wave of charged particles slammed into the human ship's shields. Warning alarms blared across every vessel as shield generators were pushed far beyond their designed limits. "Shield failure on rescue ship 117. The cry came across the comm. Without hesitation, 2 nearby ships adjusted their positions to cover the gap, their own shields straining even further. Inside the alien ships, families huddled together, watching through viewports as their protectors held the line against nature's fury. The human ships glowed bright against the darkness of space, their shields visible as they deflected the deadly radiation. "Hold the line," Captain James ordered as the second wave approached. "We just need to last another 30 minutes. Some ships lost power completely. Others suffered system failures. But none abandoned their positions. The human rescue fleet stood firm, a barrier of technology and determination between the solar storm and thousands of alien lives." Finally, after what seemed like eternity, the solar storm began to pass. As the radiation levels dropped, damage reports started coming in. Many human ships were severely damaged, their shields almost completely drained, but they had succeeded. The alien fleet had been protected. In the aftermath, Starr approached Commander Mark, who was checking his ship's systems. The translator couldn't quite capture the emotion in their voice as they said, "We once thought ourselves far advanced beyond you. Today, you taught us that true advancement isn't just about technology. It's about the heart to use what you have to help others." The crisis had passed, but it had changed everything. In facing this challenge together, both species had learned something valuable about each other and about themselves. In the aftermath of the solar flare, the rescue operation faced a critical situation. Many human ships were damaged, their power systems strained beyond their limits. The alien fleet was safe, but the rescue mission seemed on the verge of failure. Dr. Miller sat in her makeshift lab aboard the command ship, staring at readings from the solar flare. Something about the data caught her attention. She had been up for nearly 48 hours, running on coffee and determination, when the idea hit her. "Captain James," she called over the comm. "The solar flare, it's not just a problem, it's our solution." The captain rushed to her lab as she explained. The massive energy release from the solar flare had left behind a trail of highly charged particles, a river of power flowing through space. With proper modifications, they could use this energy to help power both the rescue ships and the alien fleet. "It's like a massive battery floating in space," she explained, pointing to her calculations. "If we can harness it, we'll have more than enough power to complete the rescue." The alien engineers, once they understood the concept, were amazed by its simplicity. "We would have never considered using such a natural phenomenon," Bright said. "Our focus was always on generating our own power." Teams of human and alien engineers worked together to modify the power transfer systems. They created makeshift solar collectors from spare parts and damaged shield generators. Every piece of conductive material was repurposed for the effort. "We're going to build the biggest solar power plant ever made," Dr. Miller announced to her team. "And we're going to build it right here in space." The work was dangerous. Teams had to venture out into the charged particle field to set up collectors. Several close calls occurred as engineers dealt with unexpected energy surges. But slowly, the system began to take shape. Commander Mark led one of the installation teams. "Careful with those connectors," he warned as they attached another collector. "One wrong connection, and we'll fry every system within a kilometer." The aliens provided crucial insights about energy flow and distribution, while the humans contributed their practical experience in improvising solutions. It was a perfect blend of advanced theory and hands-on engineering. "Connection point Alpha is online," came the first success report. Then another and another. Each new connection added more power to their growing network. The first test came when they attempted to power one of the larger alien ships. Everyone held their breath as they activated the system. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, lights began coming on throughout the massive vessel. "It works." The cheer went up in multiple languages across the communication channels. The success sparked a frenzy of activity. More collectors were deployed, more connections made. Ships that had been dark for decades slowly came back to life. The power network grew, spreading through space like a glowing web. "We're converting the remnants of a destructive force into something that gives life," Dr. Miller observed. "There's poetry in that somewhere." The alien children were particularly fascinated by the glowing collectors, which created beautiful patterns of light in space. Some of them started calling it the Star Bridge, a name that quickly caught on among both species. As more ships came online, the rescue timeline shifted from impossible to achievable. What had seemed like certain failure was transformed into potential success by the combination of human ingenuity and natural forces. Captain James watched from the command center as another section of the alien fleet lit up. "Sometimes the best solutions are right in front of us," he said. "We just have to be desperate enough to see them." The rescue operation was back on track, powered by the very force that had nearly destroyed it. Ships that had been damaged in protecting the alien fleet were repaired using the abundant energy now available. Dr. Miller made one final entry in her log. Today we proved something important. It's not about having the most advanced technology. It's about understanding what you have and using it creatively. Sometimes the biggest problems have the simplest solutions, if you're willing to look at them differently. The stars seemed to shine brighter that day, as two civilizations worked together to turn a crisis into triumph. The greatest rescue mission in human history was no longer just possible, it was succeeding. 1 year after the rescue mission, Earth's orbital stations hummed with activity. The alien fleet, once drifting helplessly through space, now orbited Earth in an organized pattern, their hulls gleaming in the sunlight. Commander Mark stood at the observation deck of the largest station, watching shuttles move between Earth and the alien ships. Below, the blue marble of Earth spun peacefully, unaware of how much had changed in the past year. "It's hard to believe it's been a year," said Star, now serving as the alien ambassador to Earth. The translator was no longer needed. Both species had learned each other's languages, another sign of their growing connection. The rescue mission had succeeded beyond anyone's expectations. Not a single life had been lost, though there had been many close calls. Every ship in the alien fleet had been safely towed to Earth's orbit, where they now served as floating cities and cultural exchange centers. In return for Earth's help, the aliens had shared their technology. Not just the advanced systems, but the knowledge of why they had failed and how to make them better. Together, both species were developing new technologies that combined human reliability with alien sophistication. "Our children ask about the rescue every day," Star said, watching an Earth shuttle dock with one of their ships. "They call it the Great Bridge, the moment when two species reached across the stars to help each other." The story had become legend on both worlds. Schools taught it as an example of how different civilizations could work together. The image of human ships forming a shield wall against the solar flare had become a symbol of sacrifice and protection. Dr. Miller's solar collection system had evolved into a massive power network that provided energy to both Earth and the alien fleet. The technology was being adapted for use on Earth, promising clean, unlimited power for generations to come. Down on Earth, the changes were even more profound. The presence of alien civilians had led to cultural exchanges that transformed both societies. Humans learned the aliens' art of quantum mathematics, while the aliens embraced human music and creativity. "We thought we were so advanced," Star mused, "but you taught us that true advancement isn't just about technology. It's about the willingness to help others, to find solutions where none seem possible." Captain James, now Admiral James, joined them at the window. "And you taught us that we're not alone in the universe. That when we reach out to help others, we help ourselves too." The rescue had marked humanity's official entrance into the galactic community. Other alien species, hearing of Earth's actions, had established diplomatic relations. Earth had become known as the planet that would help anyone in need, no matter the challenge. The Space Rescue Service had been transformed into an interstellar organization, with human and alien crews working together to help others in distress. Their motto, "Simple Solutions, Saving Lives," had become famous throughout known space. "Look," Mark pointed out the window. A group of alien children was learning to pilot small spacecraft under the guidance of human instructors. Meanwhile, human students were studying alien art forms in zero gravity, creating beautiful patterns of light and color. The biggest change, perhaps, was in how both species viewed themselves. The aliens had learned that advanced technology wasn't always the answer, while humans had discovered they were capable of far more than they had imagined. "We're planning the first colony together," Admiral James announced. "A new world where both our species can live and work together. We're calling it New Hope." The name was fitting. The rescue mission had given both species new hope. Hope for the future, hope for cooperation, hope for what they could achieve together. As the sun set on another Earth day, casting long shadows across the orbital stations, Mark remembered something an alien child had said to him during the rescue. The stars look different when you're not alone. The legacy of the rescue mission wasn't just in the technology they had developed or the lives they had saved. It was in the bridges they had built between two civilizations, in the lessons they had learned about cooperation and innovation, and in the future they were now building together. As night fell over Earth, the lights of the alien fleet shone like new stars in the sky, a constant reminder that in the vastness of space, no one needed to face the darkness alone.